Hello, everyone. My name is Akash Borse, and I represent this organization called as Faber Infinite. And today I welcome all of you for this another feature of Infinite interview series, what typically becomes part of our iFaber newsletter. So far, let me tell you, so many editions what we have had, and we have got phenomenal response. Looking to that response today, we have yet another young leader whom we will be chatting up today. So today, with us, we have Mr. Harshit Shah, who is a young and energetic fourth generation entrepreneur. So that brings me to this highlight of today's discussion or today's chat, where we'll be chatting up with an entrepreneur who has seen a lot of family business. He is a chemical engineer. So chemical engineering is his first degree, and his second degree is MSc in global management and MBA from Thunderbird School of Global Management, USA. So welcome, Harshit Bhai.
Thank you so much, Akashji, for having me on this interview.
So going ahead, I'll also take another moment to introduce Harshit Bhai's organization, which is S Kant. And of course, we'll hear more from him about S Kant. Harshit Bhai has been an associate director at S Kant Healthcare since past 8 years. And let me tell you, over the course of those years, he has invested and he has led several teams and several projects. So if I were to read that, so right from lab scale to plant scale operations that he has developed and devised for several projects. One of them which struck me was the anti-malarial project, as in drug project, what he has been leading, which is phenomenal. So, and I can say that we share a lot of similar grounds, where Harshit Bhai has also worked on several projects like yield improvement, which of course led to a lot of benefit to the organization as well. So I can see a lot of similarities, and I am already excited for this particular chat that we'll be having today, Harshit Bhai. So welcome once again. So
thank you so much.
Without wasting much of time, let me jump to the first question, which is, of course, an introductory question, because S Kant Group, which is a known name and has presence across all facets of pharmaceutical manufacturing, and it's phenomenally, I would say, 90 plus years old. So 1932 is when it was came into existence. Of course, it was started by Mr. S K Shah, which is known as S Kant Group. So we would, of course, want to know more about the organization and your role in this organization, Harshit Bhai.
Sure. So S Kant Healthcare Limited is the company that I work for, and it's part of the SK Group. The SK Group was started in 1932, and we started as a pharmaceutical distributor in Dawa Bazaar.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, today we are present in all verticals of the pharma supply chain,
Wonderful.
Except for retail as on date.
Wonderful.
The SK Group, develops and manufactures fine chemicals, APIs, along with finished formulation.
Nice.
And we are a group of about 16 family members working together. And I being the youngest of the fourth generation in the business.
Right.
Coming to S Kant Healthcare Limited, it's the formulation arm of the group. Okay. And we manufacture finished products such as tablets, capsules, syrups, creams in our own brands as well as private label brands. And all the medicines made at S Kant Healthcare are exported to more than 50 countries.
Wow. Wow.
Our manufacturing site is in Vapi, Gujarat.
Okay.
We have an independent R&D center in Navi Mumbai, and the corporate office is in Bombay.
Nice. Nice.
Being in pharma, regulatory and certifications are very critical for us to grow our business. So we are an EU GMP certified as well as a WHO pre-qualified company.
Nice.
And we have multiple multiple partners in UK, Europe, Canada, and Australia, for whom we act as a CMO.
Okay. Okay.
Coming to my role in the company, I am responsible for the R&D center and bringing the product to market along with my team members in production, quality, as well as regulatory.
Okay.
So in my short career, I've been fortunate to work in different divisions, and it's been a great ride so far.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Of course. Right. Glad to know more about you and the organization. So that brings me to this interesting point that I wanted to chat with you and get your insights, because this is something which is very fascinating. Because for all of us, we have been working with a lot of family run organizations. So the typically when it comes to a organization which is family run and family driven, which is progressive as well, it calls for a different fabric and different way the organization is managed. So if I were to pull out some facts from the research, there is one of the research which says that there are only 13% of family businesses in India which survive to the third generation. And let me tell you, the audience, there are only 4% organizations which survive to the fourth generation. So let me tell you, S Kant Healthcare is one of those 4% organization which is into this fourth generation. And of course, Harshit Bhai belongs to the fourth generation. So I would want to you to share what challenges typically you face in such a phase, and how do you overcome those challenges?
So firstly, it's good to know that we are on this side of the statistic.
Right.
And I would also like to add that we recently had a fifth generation member also join us.
Okay.
So, the legacy that our forefathers created, I think will continue.
Nice.
Coming to, any family business, there are typical challenges such as succession planning, accountability, not interfering in each other's working space, and, adjusting to everyone's way of working. So I was just thinking about what has helped us over the period is that we've had certain unsaid rules which have been instrumental. So, for example, when I joined the business, I was not reporting to an immediate family member. So I would always report to either a professional who's been with us since many years, or maybe an uncle or my elder cousin brother. This helps us to keep work at work and not take that issues back home in case if I was reporting to my dad.
Right. Okay.
And because I'm reporting to a non-immediate family member, I felt I was more accountable and responsible.
Really? Okay.
And at the same time, my boss at that time, was also free in giving me, positive criticism of my work.
Okay. Right.
So that has really helped. I think all of us who've come from the training into having a leadership position within the group.
Okay. Nice.
Besides that, what has also helped us is that there are certain values which, when we are growing up in all family businesses, we always know that there is a business that I have to work for. And so our forefathers, my father always taught about compromise and patience are something that are a thing that is always required in a family business.
Okay.
And the importance of the bond that we enjoy has always been fostered and has always been told that how paramount it is to never shake that bond.
Right. Okay. Very interesting.
Besides that, I think one more practice that has helped me, I feel, is that as soon as I came back from my studies, me and my brothers who have joined, have been told to spend some time on the shop floor.
Wow.
So, in cricket, it's said that there is a silly point position.
Okay.
Any new entrant into the team has to always be in the silly point position to really face the challenges of being so close.
Okay.
So similarly, the previous generation made it a rule that all joining members have to be at the factory, work on the shop floor, understand the technical side of things, and
Right.
then maybe move to more of a corporate role.
Right. Very, very interesting. Yeah.
So, all these small things I think have gone a long way in helping us value our bond as well as value the platform our previous generations have given us.
Sure, sure, of course. So that is really interesting, and it kind of sticks with me because typically, if I were to correlate, when you said that working on the shop floor is something which is mandatory in your family structure, so typically in continual improvement journey as well, we typically say that the real value addition happens on the Gemba, which is the real workplace, and which kind of gels with what you have been saying. And I really like the analogy what you said about being at the silly point, so you get the real situation on the ground, so it is wonderful. And of course, the point that you raised of having that boundary between the family and the business, so it's like that really helps. And I'm sure a lot of other family businesses who are watching this particular discussion will definitely take a leaf of some point which they can implement. So typically, now that we are in this new normal, enough has been said about the new normal part. I would want to understand how this unprecedented situation, or the black swan event, as many call it, impacted your industry. And because the reason why I'm asking it is not only formulation, but the API as well as the entire value chain that you have that exposure around. So how it impacted, and how did S Kant Group handle such challenges when it comes to the top line as well as the bottom line impact, what it caused?
So, now we've been in COVID since the last 2 years, that what seemed like the new normal in phase one has now become a way of life, right, for every one of us.
Right.
Coming to pharma, I think COVID has been an eye opener of how we were doing things from so long. When we talk about an expedited development of vaccines or repositioning of drugs for COVID treatment, it makes me wonder that earlier a typical vaccine would have taken years to get developed.
Right.
Whereas here, with everybody collaborating, that has become much quicker to reach to the market.
Right.
The first phase, I think we were all responding to an ever-changing scenario. And even at S Kant, our battles used to be more towards managing the supply chain, getting material in on time, having enough workforce available in a safe environment to execute our orders.
Right.
So those are the kind of challenges we were seeing. In terms of the turnover in the first wave, I think most companies went beyond their typical inventory levels. Because they didn't want to come in a situation of a stock out.
Right. So
I think for pharma in general, we saw a positive impact on the turnover.
Okay.
Because the demand multiplied.
Okay. Right. Of course. Yeah.
And at the same time, we did face slight issue on the bottom line, because we were constantly having shortages of basic chemicals or longer transit times for imported items, which was shooting up prices. So even though we were able to service the order well, there was a slight dent on the profitability of that particular order.
Right.
Moving to April 21, I think the demand is very fluctuating right now for pharma.
Okay.
There are drugs that are coming up and become in vogue for a particular period, and then they again die down. So demand-wise, we are seeing a lot of up and down. And at the same time, we are still seeing issues of shipping lines or container shortages, as well as shortage of basic chemicals, which are typically imported in India, which is also impacting the profitability as well.
Right.
Coming to what I think helped us at S Kant is that a good amount of our finished formulations are backward integrated with our own APIs.
Right, of course, yeah.
So we have another 5 API manufacturing plants in the SK group.
Uh-huh.
And this integration of from API to formulation has helped us be in more control in terms of visibility of pricing or material availability.
Right, right.
And that's really helped us, in this scenario.
Of course, of course. So because you have that visibility and control on the value chain, what you have been working on, so that definitely helps. I completely agree with you. And
Yes.
it's like the entire overall pharma industry was stressed because of this raw material availability. So
Correct.
I completely can correlate with it. Yeah. So that brings me to the next part when you said that the bottom line was definitely dented a bit in the last year. What are your plans for this financial year when it comes to the productivity or efficiency improvement plans that you would want to roll out in this year?
So, again, because of COVID, I think it expedited us being ready for digitalization of things
Oh, wow.
and automation.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So, we as an organization are trying to make a conscious effort to understand, more smart technologies. For example, looking at predictive maintenance is something that we're looking at. We have just started adopting a cloud-based ERP
Okay.
so that across locations the coordination and communication goes up. We've been doing a lot of Gemba walks on the shop floor
Wow.
to simplify our SOPs, reduce repetition of work, and basically giving more clarity to the user of that SOP.
Right. Okay.
Being such a highly regulated industry, I personally feel that our SOPs sometimes work more towards the auditor rather than helping the user.
Okay.
So we are trying to strike a right balance in looking at our procedures again.
Okay. Okay.
Besides that, we are looking at our inventory levels now and trying to work out EOQs in order to be sure to not have a stock out nor have the issues of a sudden price drop or a price increase.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So these are some of the measures, though at a small scale, but we've been consciously trying to make this year.
Right. No, that's wonderful. I would say any conscious effort will definitely yield results. And when you have already picked up few of them which are key to your domain, I'm sure that will definitely yield results. So in here, one a very interesting point that you mentioned or started off with when it comes to that this accelerated COVID situation accelerated your journey towards digitalization and automation, which of course is the need of the hour as well. So, and it's like when you have already picked up the areas or the points of improvement that you would want to address through digitalization, that's wonderful. Because it's like I would take this opportunity to share is digitalization or automation is such an elephant that everybody is touching the different part of an elephant and calling it as digitalization. But when you have already deciphered the entire elephant, that's a wonderful thing to happen. I'm very glad, and I'm sure the audience can definitely pick up some pointers from there. So that brings me to the last part again, last part of our discussion. Again, going back to the subject when we are talking about family-run organization, because it could be sometimes it could be complex, and sometimes it is calling for a lot of energy and commitment to have the systems right. And when you touched upon having those SOPs simplified and for the users, how does your organization work towards becoming a system driven organization rather than person driven organization? So because that is something which would come in very critical when it comes to a fourth generation family business.
So what has helped us, I think, with I'm sure other companies in pharma industry relate to that, being highly regulated, we have to have a systemic approach, by default.
Right, of course.
So, we've always had, for example, a quality management system. We have certain MIS monitoring systems and they have been fruitful in making us grow and be a good export player.
Right, of course.
However, pre-COVID, this was, or at least at S Kant, it has always been very manual in nature.
Okay.
So now, since we know that this may be there for a longer time, the COVID scenario, we've
Right.
started adopting things like firstly the ERP, so to handle our entire material management. We are
Okay.
working on having a remote deployment of our training modules.
Okay.
Earlier we were always sticking to a classroom training. Now we've also attended so many webinars, and now we are also organizing webinars, for our employees.
Nice.
So I think a lot of emphasis is now going on upskilling our employees with the help of SMEs like Faber or other industry leaders who I feel are more than willing to collaborate and guide SMEs and MSMEs.
Right, of course.
So that is some ways in which we are trying to develop a system of continuous learning and then implementation on the shop floor.
Right. Now, of course, it's learning, as they say, is a never-ending journey. So yeah,
Yes,
that is definitely going to yield results, because that's not a short-term vision that you have. It is kind of a long-term effort which has been put in. So that is wonderful thing to happen. So of course, we during this quick chat, we have touched upon various facets of business. So let me take this opportunity to thank you for sharing your valuable inputs for our audience. And I'm sure it will go a long way when it comes to other family run organizations, when they would want to reach to this tune of getting into the fourth generation family run business. Because let me tell you, I've interacted with so many family businesses, whether that's a first generation, second generation, or third generation. So everybody has their own different views, I would say. But then this was really interesting because we have heard it directly from somebody who is from the fourth generation. So that's wonderful. So thank you once again, and I look forward to interacting with you in person when things get better.
It's been a pleasure to discuss today. And I look forward to meeting offline when situation improves.
Sure. Thank you so much. So that is a quick chat what we had with Mr. Harshit Shah from S Kant Group. And for now, I take your leave from all of my audience, and we look forward to seeing you in the next Infinite interview series. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.